Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be painting a beach scene. It's called 90 Mile Beach here in New Zealand. It's actually closer to 55 miles long, but anyway, it's got a lot of golden sand and it's got a lot of adventure on it. And today we're going to be putting in some Te Araroa walkers. There's a walk from the top of the island, of the North Island in New Zealand, to the south, bottom of the South Island, and it's called the Long Way, Te Araroa. We're going to be thinking about shape, value, space, colour, proportions. And here I'm laying in the clouds. I've already done my drawing and I'm laying in some clouds. I'm also using a Cobalt Violet today with some Cobalt Blue for the clouds, just washing it in loosely. When you're painting a beach scene such as this, like 90 Mile Beach, the key is to simplify the elements. We've sketched in the horizon line where the ocean meets the sky. We've broken down the scene into shapes which are the beach, the ocean, a little bit of dunes, and the sky and the clouds. So we've got a limited amount of shapes. The flat horizon and the sweeping curve of the beach actually create really interesting perspective. And when we put in the three little walkers at the end, that perspective, that feeling of space will be heightened because they're going to be tiny. So we're adding the sky, we've added the sky. I was using quite loose watercolour brushwork. The paper is dry. I do want to say that. I'm not doing a wet in wet, I'm doing dry. But as you build that, of course, you're making the paper wet, so you can get some quite nice soft effects. And here I'm just beginning to lay in some wash of the water. Now I have used a wax pencil, so you will see some resist where the wax pencil was. The resist will break through, which preserves the white of the paper. Just very loosely washing it in. It's cobalt blue, and then I will use some umbers and siennas. I don't want the blue just to be one block of blue. I like to vary the washes, the colours in the wash. I'm looking for a balance of colours. We've got we will have the warm hues of the beach and the beautiful blues. And you can see I've put some umbers into the water as it's close to me. It's darker. And we're playing with value, but the values, I'm not using darks till I get into the sand dune. But we do have values. We don't really have shadows as such. But the way I'm putting the brush mark down now is suggestive of the movement along the beach. I want to get that little bit of feeling of movement and to get that sort of sweep back into the horizon. So it's good to use your brush in a gestural, sweepy way. And just laying in the sand, the actual dune that runs along the edge of the beach. It runs the whole distance, in fact. So you can also see quite well now the wax resist of the edge of the water meeting the beach. And just drawing in where the water comes over the beach, it always darkens the colour of the sand a little bit. So I'm putting that in. And just darkening up a little bit of water. Just umbers. And now here I'm actually lifting out colour with my tissue because there was a reflection of the cloud into the water and onto the beach. The beach was still quite wet, and I did want to put that in because I think it's quite a nice sort of atmospheric thing to do. And then just some more texture, sort of varying the light and the dark on the beach. Putting a little bit of darkness in the foreground. It sort of anchors us into the picture. So it's still all pretty simple. This is a liner brush, which I decided to try using for the putting in the dark. This is probably the darkest part of the painting. And I just think a liner brush, it actually gives a really good line. And it's only a little slice in the picture, and I thought that would be quite a nice thing to use. And you can draw with the tip a little bit. Just putting a little bit more detail in here for the little lumps and bumps as the dune runs away into the distance. And right there is a mount, a sort of quite a big hill, I suppose it looks like, but that is jutting out from the land. And they've got to walk there and beyond. And it's a really long day. Like it takes about 3 days, 3 nights to walk down this flippin' beach. If you're into that kind of thing, it's amazing. Personally, I'm not. But I do know people that have done it. And they say it can be absolutely extraordinary. And if the wind is not blowing, if the wind is blowing, you sort of get peppered with sand, which is probably not the best. Although you could get blown down the beach, or if it was blowing up the beach, you'd be struggling into it. And there's not a lot of water out there. You've got to carry a lot of water. So it's pretty barren. There are people driving up and down the beach, all the fishermen. And they will pick you up if you're desperate. Just doing some flicking for a little bit more texture. So flicking some darker, probably doesn't show up so well, some darker paint. Just in the foreground where you know, everything's more in focus. And then I put a little row of steps, sort of, you know, where they've walked along the beach. And that helps with the perspective and sweeping the eye down that beach. So just dabbing it out. You don't want it to be too dark. You want a suggestion rather than a in-your-face darkness, dark blob. So stand back from your painting occasionally and view it as a whole. And this will be, you can actually hear the rain in the background. I was painting this in my studio in the garden and it started pouring rain But anyway, here we are with the 3 hikers. And whoever they were, I hope you got to journey's end. And you can see now you've got that feeling of the vast scale. You've got the vast ocean, the vast beach, and the vast sky. I mean, absolutely extraordinary. And the scale of those little guys is actually giving us that feeling now. So there you have it. Remember, we're thinking simplicity, sand, ocean, sky. We're thinking warm yellows and oranges in the beach, cooler blues in the sky and the ocean, and dark little points for our heroic walkers. So I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration. And I hope to see you next time. Happy painting!